Oh, how are you beautiful people? Today we're taking a look at some cool little device. So, yeah, I just woke up. I'm trying to squeeze this in quickly before booking because I've been so freaking swamped lately. Thank you guys, by the way, because if I wasn't busy, I wouldn't be living. Trust me. I need the work. So anyway. What we have today is we're taking a look at this neat little mini server. This is a unofficial unboxing because the box is on the floor right here. So here, I'll put it in the box for you. But anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment below, join our Patreon if you want to help me support the channel and help pay for the editing and all the stuff that we get for the channel. I want to get some heavier metal, some Juniper and Adtran stuff for the channel to take a look at. But anyway, I digress. Let's open up the box. Okay, so I'm going to open up the box here. What's in the box? It comes with a power supply. It comes with this. It comes with the SATA cable and power cord. What is this?
What the f is this?
This is a little mini server. Let's take a look at the specs on it. It's got 6 LAN ports. Very, very cool.
Okay. That's neat.
It's got a comms port, serial, DB9, for RS-232. You've got 2 USB 3.0, and I believe that these are 5 gig rated. And then we've got on the back a VGA and a 12-volt input. It takes 12 volts, 5 amps to power the device. The unit is passive cooled, so the entire chassis is actually the heatsink rather than having a fan. So this is a good industrial appliance that can be stashed anywhere. And because it runs on 12 volts, it's very, very easy to get a voltage converter for it, like this, where you can take 48 volts and convert it down to 12 volts and use it to power said device. And by the way, for all you guys that poo-poo these things, I have honestly never had one go bad until I can find something a little bit more commercial that looks like a Meanwhile in a little Meanwhile housing for like a decent price comparable to this. Then I'm going to keep using these because I've never, ever, ever had one fail. And so I know some people have claimed that they have, but I'm assuming that I'm not going to discredit them. I'm going to say that it's something to do maybe with misuse or something that was overlooked that caused them to break, because these are designed for golf carts. It's still a DC to DC converter, but it's potted in a silicone gel. And
hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me.
They're tough, so as long as you're not overworking them, you won't pop them. But anyway, I digress. Regardless, revisiting the point, this little cool thing. So each one of these Ethernet ports is actually a direct to CPU per se. It's got its own dedicated Intel chipset for each one, and I'm going to do a teardown on this at some point. It'll probably be the next segment in the video because I'm going to switch over and move to this desktop here next to me and do the teardown. But in the meantime, I want to take a look at the actual page where I bought it, what the options are, and what the specs are. So let me push the magic cut button. There we go. And now I should be on this screen. So I bought it on AliExpress. And this a game. Don't poo-poo AliExpress. Poo-poo Banggood. I've ordered a lot of stuff on Banggood, and almost every single order has either been damaged or not what I ordered in the first place. So, AliExpress, though, I honestly have never had a problem ordering stuff on here. Everything I get has been exactly what I thought it would be. The shipping times aren't terrible. And, yeah, it's decent quality stuff, believe it or not. But, I mean, like, there's so much variety on here. You really need to look at what you're ordering so that you know what you're ordering. Kind of like when you shopped on eBay. So if you know how to use AliExpress, then you don't have to worry about these problems. I almost forgot about my tea. Lemon ginger. Oh my god, this is my wake up this morning on a cool, dark, gloomy, beautiful fall morning. Happy Halloween. I'll show you the specs that I got on here. Now, I got the bigger CPU and the lesser RAM and SSD intentionally because I was trying to save some money. I used the Patreon money, of course, to buy this. So this guy here, and by the way, I was just talking to Thomas, my business partner, and we were thinking that he said that we can mod this thing. We should be able to, according to the BIOS, if the BIOS is capable, we can actually desolder the Intel Core i3-7100U from this thing, and we can put a beefier processor in it. So that's going to be a later video. We're going to try to find a CPU for this thing and see if we can't actually modify it. So alright, but anyway, so the one that I ordered here came with 4 gigs of RAM and a 64 gig SSD. And let's take a look at the specs on this little bad boy. Now I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Alright, so let's see what this thing comes with. 1 stick of DDR3, 133 1600 RAM. i3-7100U, max support for 16 gigabytes. Oh, it does support a 16 gigabyte. That's what the CPU said, but on the sheet up top here, the best that it comes with is 8 gig. So I'm actually ordering a 16 gig for this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Supports M-SATA and 2.5-inch SATA, FreeSend 2.5-inch SATA cables, 6 Intel WG I21 or 211 AT gigabit Ethernet support, Wacom LAN. Sorry about the grammar, guys. That's hurting my head. Interfaces with 6 LAN RJ45 Intel i211s. So that's this i211. AT NIC, 2 by USB 3.0, 1 by VGA, 1 by RS-232. Support virtualization, Wacom LAN, automatically power on after power restored, fanless, zero noise, and aluminum case. Support Windows, Linux, Ubuntu, CentOS, pfSense, Lidi, ESXi 6.7, pfSense, OpenSense, OpenWRT. I'm putting Proxmox on this one for my testing because the MikroTik Router OS 64-bit. Oh my god, my microphone's too hot. Sorry about that, guys. I just noticed that. What the hell's going on?
What the is this?
God, I hate my computer. Thing changes settings on me randomly. It's bizarre. Anyway, now I'm gonna have to check the audio on that. So anyway, yes, I was gonna do a attempt to try to take CHR and strip it and modify it to work on bare metal so that you could actually get a 64-bit native installation of Router OS on hardware. But then, after talking with Chris Johnson, who's a member of the Wisp Talk community, who's, by the way, a brilliant individual, thank you, Chris, he actually said to me that there's a way that we can actually use the x86 and install it for 64-bit. Now, MikroTik has sort of hidden away the file for that, but I have found it again, and I will be posting it in some places on the interwebs for you guys to grab it. Unfortunately, I can't upload it to Facebook, which I already tried to do because Facebook won't let me load ISOs, but you know what? Where there's a whip, there's a way, right? So I'm going to probably post it in my Discord, the Ms.Fixit Discord, or maybe on Brent's Wispcast Discord, and so that it's readily available for everybody, okay? And so anyway, taking a look at more of the specs here. So these are the CPUs that you can get for it. It's i3, they're all mobile editions, right? So I got the beefiest CPU that I could for this thing. Only because, and that's why I did my strategic order, was I got the lowest hard drive size and the largest CPU, because the CPU is soldered to the fucking main board, right? So, makes sense, right? Easy peasy, I can swap in RAM. I already ordered an 8 gig stick, and I'm working on going to JC Computers here in Peterborough to get a 16 gig stick. He's hunting one down for me, by the way. So once we actually have that, I will be running Proxmox on here. Now, with Proxmox on this thing, what I intend to do with Proxmox is I'm going to load CHR on here because I already own a CHR license, and I can use 2 ports on here. One is a WAN port, so I'll create a bridge for WAN. WAN will just come into LAN 1, and then I can have Router OS on 2, I can have pfSense on 3, I can have Linux on 4, I can have whatever on here. So the whole idea here is that I can have different routers on here. And one of the things which I want to do is with my radio testing for the new little radio lab that I built in the backyard, I want to be able to do high throughput testing. Now I've got a 10 gigabit link from my 4011 here out to the yard, and I actually ordered some more cabling and some SFPs from TDL so I can have true 10 gig from my living room, or my office. This is my living room, as you can see. But anyway, from here out to the lab cabinet in the yard. And then the idea is that once I'm done with this, where is it? Once I'm done with this industrial switch that Tycon sent me, this is going to move out to the yard and power all the equipment outside there for the lab. And I'll be able to do high throughput testing utilizing this for packet generation. So this is why I kind of want to actually put a bigger CPU in and more memory, is because now I can use iPerf 3 to be able to do TCP throughput testing, to actually see what radio equipment's capable of doing in real time. We can really test stuff. So that's kind of what I'm going for. But now, as far as getting back to what the industry purpose for this thing is, this little i3 here. Wait, look, let me do a screenshot. This will be for the thumbnail. Wait, I don't like showing my mouth. There you go, there's your thumbnail. Yeah, this way I don't have to take a picture. But anyway, the industry purpose for this little bad boy is this. I would like to be able to use this and load x86 router OS on it and deploy it as a border router. To do that, I need to know that it's reliable. So I'm going to be running this thing as hard as shit through burn-in. So I'm going to use this to replace my 4011 here at home with Proxmox on it, so I still have the diversity to be able to run different router operating systems on it, so I can switch between them for testing purposes, okay? But the big thing here is that if this thing proves reliable, this has nice little shelf mounts, so you can actually screw this thing into a bracket or a board, or we can DIN rail mount this so friggin' easily just by adding 2 DIN rail clips.
Well, that's easy.
We can actually put 2 DIN rail clips on it here. And I don't know if you guys want me to do a video on that. Let me know in the comments below. But I mean, like, obviously you should be able to figure that part out yourself. You can take a plate, put 2 DIN rail brackets on it, and then just screw it onto this, like bolt it on. But anyway, the point is that this thing should have a lot more power than a 1036. And these guys are only, as you can see, let me switch back over. It was only 355 Canadian. That's 355 Kazakhstani shekels. So let's switch CAD to USD. So 355 Canadian. That's 288 bucks. Okay, so this is a little bit more than a 4011 and not quite as much as a 2004. But yet this thing would outperform both of them hands down. So this is a powerful little server. It's a little micro server with a ton of power to it. So the idea here is that you can host your BGP on it. You can do all the stuff that you need to do on here by having your own mini hypervisor to run CHR. Or you can natively install the x86 instance on here in 64-bit, have 16 gigs of RAM in this thing, and use it as the powerhouse at the edge of your network. Okay, so that's why I was very interested in getting one of these. And I do believe that Willie Howe actually got a similar unit to this and did a full teardown review on these. By the way, these things are destructible. He drove over his with his car. Okay, so the point of this is not for large production networks where you've got 10,000 subscribers or whatever. This is for you little guys that are trying to push a lot of packets, where you're trying to sell to, say, like, you know, up to maybe 1,000 customers. Maybe it'll do more than 1,000 customers, because I think this will outperform a 1036, honestly. I think. So don't hold that against me. But the idea here is this is a cost-effective piece of equipment. So this is a little $355 mini server with 6 dedicated ports on it, which means that you could take 2 ports on here as an example and bond them, or even 3 ports on here, bond them, get 3 gigabits per second on this thing, and use it as a very powerful, cost-effective router for your network. And no, Untangle and pfSense and OpenWRT, those are all inappropriate for WISP or small ISP production networks. You know, we're talking about either running OpenBSD on here, Router OS, or, you know, something else like, I think Tenor is the one that I'm actually looking at right now. Actually, one of my guys actually told me about it and said that it's looks interesting. And there's another one, Donan, but the Tenor one doesn't look too impressive, but the Donan or Donar or whatever it is, which Chris Johnson was telling me about, actually looks extremely diverse and powerful for a carrier grade route server. And I'm assuming that, of course, you can also run Viata on here. So for the Viata fanboys, this thing will run Viata, and then you've got a small Viata gateway where you can run BGP and OSPF, use this as your border, and then connect a MikroTik into it through OSPF to connect into the rest of your network. So it's a really cool little unit. So that's basically my unboxing and overview. And one last thing which I want to do is, let me just put my camera down a little bit so you can look at my hideous titties. Where is a screwdriver? There we go. This one looks like it'll probably fit nicely. I am going to do a tear down on this, but it's not going to be right now. But I just want to show you about the hard drive in this, because you can put an enterprise class SSD in this thing and have your storage for your hypervisor. Actually, realistically, is there even enough stuff for me to do a comprehensive teardown? I really don't think there is. So here's the Samsung EVO that I put inside of it. It is a 256 gig. So that should be enough to get me by for what I need to do for the router OSs that I'm going to be running on it. Fuck it. Let's make this the teardown. Okay, so I'm looking at my other screen right now, which is why where I've got my previews so I can make sure that this is properly in focus. So if we look here, there's the RAM. This thing takes PC3L. It comes with the 4 gig stick because that's what I chose. If you look along here, you've got your magnetics and your Intel chips. So the other thing as well is repairability, is this thing is incredibly repairable. I mean, like, it's being, we're a repair shop as well. We fix tons of carrier class equipment. You can see that these are all SMDs, not BGAs. And BGAs, not that we can't fix BGAs, we fix tons of BGAs, but the point is that these SMDs are very, very easy to get a hold of. They're very, very easy to desolder and swap. Everything on this thing is essentially SMD. Over here, we've got the M2. So this is an M2.5, I believe. What did it say here? Nope, mSATA, just regular mSATA. So that's your mSATA. So that would be your OS drive, right? Your host drive. Yeah, and then over here as well, there's your SATA. Over here is a, there we go, Molex. So there's actually a 4-pin Molex there. That's a Minifit Junior. That's the same one that you'll find on the Cambium Medusa, or on the newer Cambium radios. So that guy there also allows you power diversity. So if you wanted to plug it in with something a little bit more substantial than a barrel connector, there's that option right there. And there's also something else over here. It's also got like a 4-pin. I think that's a Molex as well next to it. But the point is that you've got power diversity for hooking this thing up. Of course, you've got VGA, so that lets you install pretty much anything you want on it. But this little guy here is a very capable, well-built, simplified unit. The only catch is that the CPU, I believe, is soldered to the main board. But for us, because Thomas is a lab rat, and he's got a massive, comprehensive electronics lab for doing all of the repairs on the equipment, it's no big deal for him to sweat off that. We've actually got an IRE workstation. We can actually put the board on it, pull the i3, and stick on one of the later generation compatible i7 mobiles. He said it's a 7th gen support, so I think we can put it supports 6 and 7, I believe. So he was saying that we could probably throw an i7 7th gen on here, so that's going to be something we might try later on. But for the meantime, I'm going to get this thing loaded with Proxmox. I'm going to throw some OSs on it, some different routing OSs, and see how they perform. Do some tutorials on that for you guys, and we're going to run this thing here to replace my 4011 and see if it does prove reliable, or if I end up, having bad luck and this thing shits the bed and becomes an unreliable piece of garbage. So that's kind of what we're going to go with here. We're going to try it out, see if it's reliable, run it hard, and if it is, then we've got a good product on our hands. But from what I've seen from guys like Willie and other people who have been buying these things and using them for production routers, there's nothing wrong with it.
Perfect.
So this is going to be a very good experiment. You guys get to see me hands-on try to mess with this thing and load it and figure it out and see what it's capable of doing. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoy that. This is a cool little unit to play with. So I'm actually, while I've got it open here, I'm just going to hook up the power lead for the SATA. It's a dainty little thing, but it doesn't need to be much because this is what we call an industrial embedded system. And now I can take my top plate here with my, and this is a cool thing, by the way, the plate also helps disperse heat. So when you put your Samsung Evo on here, you can either put it straight against the plate or put a little tiny bit of thermal compound on the heavier corners where there's thick aluminum die, and that will help you to transfer heat into the chassis. So you've got passive cooling for the hard drive, even making this thing even more reliable. Because then, of course, when you mount this into a surface, if it's going to be on a backboard of some kind, an aluminum backboard, then the heat will dissipate into that backboard first, or into this backboard, and then it'll dissipate into the enclosure's backboard, which would make it very, very good at dissipating heat. So there we go. This is a neat little thing that we got to thank the Patreons, because the Patreons are the ones who helped me get this. And we are going to do a lot of testing with this little thing. This is going to be very, very cool. Now, if you guys are wondering about the Teragraph stuff, yes, the Teragraph stuff is coming. I'm just trying to make sure that the videos for the Teragraph stuff are very, very good.
Perfect.
Everybody just went to WISPA, so they're all about to come back. And then we should be able to continue on with the Teragraph recordings. But I am going to be releasing, it might be released before this actually, the IgniteNet Teragraph teardowns, which at least will be something to get your, it'll be enough to tickle your fancy, I believe. That'd be the best way to put it politely. So there we go. Now we can take this thing, load it up with Proxmox, and throw CHR on it and switch it over as my home router. And let's see how long it runs for.
Hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me.
I've seen a few smaller versions of these things running like mono wall for like eons with no problems. So it's going to be a good little test. I'm very excited about this. And for you guys out there, this will be a cool little thing to potentially use as a router at a tower, especially in a grain bin or something where you've got shitty conditions and can't have fans or anything. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below. Let me know what you want to see, or if you've got any suggestions or corrections. And don't forget, if you want to help support the channel, please join the Patreon, because God knows that helps pay for the equipment and pay for the video editing and make sure that I stay fed. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.